What do you think is the best way that mountain bikers, no matter what city they live in, what is the best way that they can support their local trails?
That's a good question. The best way to support their trails is to.
Let's go! All right, you got it? Yeah!
Hello, everybody. Sebastian here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Biker Talk. Today, I am joined with Alex, as always. Hey, Alex. Some pretty big news in
Hello.
Ontario mountain biking today, isn't there?
Yes, Blue Mountain. The famed Blue Mountain Bike Park is closing their doors to downhill mountain biking completely. They're not just for this season. They've decided that downhill mountain biking, the lift access stuff, that's no longer at all going to be invited or allowed. So we might have to get Blue Mountain on our podcast so we can talk about it because they didn't really give a reason why, but that's for another podcast. Who do we have on today, Seb?
Today, we are joined with Chris and Greg from the Mississauga Mountain Biking Association. Hey, guys, welcome.
Hey guys, yeah, thank you so much for inviting us to your podcast. Appreciate being here today. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, got everyone.
Glad to
Everyone's
have
loaded
you
in.
on.
Glad to be here. Glad to be
So,
here.
yes, welcome. Thank you, guys, for coming on to start off. So, what made you guys? How did the Mississauga Mountain Biking Association start? Just an idea, or?
Good question. So we're just under a year old. We were formally established last May. And the idea kind of came about around the time of the lockdown of the pandemic. So about a year ago, to the day actually. So in mid-March, around that time, weather was getting nicer and I wanted to kind of go out and ride more trails. And what I really wanted to do was to try and, I guess, go out and maintain trails. So go out and see if I could, rake leaves or pat some of the trails down, whatever it was. And so from that idea, I started to do a bit of investigation to see if there's an organized group that did that in Mississauga. I realized that there wasn't. There's quite a few different road cycling clubs. And so I kind of took it upon myself to dive deep and see what existed. And that's kind of where the idea came from, to kind of start the MMBA.
Nice. And Greg, did you join in on him with that, or like on the whole idea? Or is it kind of?
Yeah, I'm not sure how we first met. I met some of the other guys that are involved on the trails actually, and we talked about it, and we sort of tried to form something like 10 years ago, and it didn't quite happen. It led to some things happening. The Lushner Challenge Park. Um, but yeah, met on the trails, which is I think the best way to meet, and that's how we got involved. Some mutual concerns and things we could help each other with. So
How many
Nice.
people are in the organization? How many people are part of MMBA?
So we have about 5 or 6 people, about 6 people on the board that have different roles and responsibilities that we've kind of been delegated them to. So that's kind of the managerial and administrative aspect of the association. And then under that, we have approximately now about 130 members now that have registered formally with us. We do have a lot of different social media accounts, as you probably know, and as a lot of people know, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. We have Facebook. But within Facebook, we do have a private discussion board for not just members, but for anyone. And so with that, we have about over 200 members that follow us on that platform. And again, it's all for discussion of everything mountain biking within Mississauga. So different trails, sections, trail updates, that type of thing you can find on there. So quite a few people. We've gained quite a few people over over the last year, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's very nice. So, do you guys, is the Facebook group like a thing that anyone that wants to participate joins in? And then do you have like specific dates, or do you plan dates where it's like, okay, this day we're going to go maintain these trails, and then this day we're going to go riding or something like that?
A good question. So it is an open forum, so people just need to really ask to be accepted into the group. So you don't have to be a registered member to be part of that discussion board. And kind of like what you mentioned, you can talk about pretty much anything. If there's trail maintenance issues, if someone wants to meet someone to go out for a ride, you can kind of post that inquiry on there, and then hopefully someone will message you back. In regards to actual structured trail maintenance, that's a bit of a tricky question, because legally speaking, we as the association don't have any formal authority to go out and do any trail maintenance. But that being said, a lot of the trails in Mississauga have been built, rogue. And so people will go out and they'll take down deadfall, or they'll clear brush, in the heat of summer. So it does happen, but at this stage, that's what we're trying to do as an association. We're trying to make it legal, and that's kind of where we're at with us.
So you mentioned that you're trying to make it available for people to maintain some of the trails. What are some of the other long-term goals of the association?
Yeah, so I guess I should put things into perspective in terms of a couple of our short-term goals first, which actually Greg alluded to, and he can give some more background information on it, but it's the Ellis Lushner Challenge Park. So that challenge park was initially brought about, and Greg can correct me, but I believe it was in the early to mid 2000s when that park was actually established. And so over the years, a lot of the structures, a lot of the wooden structures, skinnies, ladders, they were kind of neglected. So now today you won't find any of those structures there. And it's not really well maintained by the city. So the city of Mississauga does own the land, and they did have a lease agreement with a few different stakeholders in the area. That's been, I think it's been discontinued. And so it's pretty much been neglected up to this stage, unfortunately. So what we want to do is sort of a short-term goal, is to revive the legacy of the Challenge Park. And that's kind of our first foot in the door, we think, as an association. If we can go in, reassess some of the trails that exist, redesign them, make them sustainable, implement, adequate signage, that type of thing, we feel like we can really bring it back to life. And so that's kind of our first port of call that we all figured would be the best option to start off with. Now, moving forward, as more of a long-term goal moving forward, is to expand that. And so, as you probably know, there's not a lot of green space or forestry in Mississauga. If you kind of compare what we have here geographically in Mississauga, it's relatively flat. There's not a lot of contours in the land. And if you compare that with what you were kind of talking about initially in your intro with Blue Mountain and places more up north or more out west, you have a lot more leeway with building trails and building bike parks, even as close as Brawny Creek in Oakville or Mount Kelso in Milton. Those are great areas to expand and grow a mountain biking park and trails. And so we don't unfortunately have that. So for us as a group, we're trying to figure out ways moving forward how we can utilize any type of green space we can in Mississauga to do that.
For sure. Yeah. You know what? That's great. And I remember probably 5-6 years ago, maybe, my first time ever riding in that Riverwood area. It's just, following those gravel trails along the river down. And I stumbled across Challenge Park, and I went there and I started riding it. And, some of the local riders there showed me the big, like, dirt drop on the right side when you first enter. All that comes down. And then as you rode down the trail, back where all those skinnies are, it was just completely overgrown and covered. So I spent the good week or two contacting city, going through different people, trying to find someone who could like cut it or see like is this still being maintained and whatnot. And ended up somebody did end up coming cleaning it up, but it was one of those things where it's like every time it needed to be clean, you had to go through that whole process again. So it's really nice to see some like local people developing something to try and fix all that so there's not issues.
Yeah, I agree. It's when things like that happen, when unfortunately, things do get neglected like that, no one's there to do it and to take over and to try and maintain or rebuild or whatever. And so us coming in as an association to say, hey, we could do this, we can be an authority in terms of coming out and clearing brush and again redesigning the trails, it would alleviate a lot of pressure that the city would face in terms of resources and physical labor. As I mentioned before, we have 130 members that are just as enthusiastic as we are, so they want to go out and they want to maintain trails and, have big trail days and, big group rides and things like that and attend different races and stuff. And so we have the means to do it. It's just more of the bureaucratic process, which that aspect of things when it comes to a mountain biking association and the trails that you grow to love and ride, that aspect of things aren't really considered. The process, the long process of dealing with regions and municipalities to try and gain access to go out and maintain these trails. So it's been a long struggle, but we're finally getting a little bit of leeway right now, actually, which is nice.
That's what
A question for Greg.
Sure.
What was your involvement with Challenge Park in the beginning?
Well, I guess that's kind of why we started this club is to give people opportunities to mountain bike. It was tragic circumstances where a young man was wanting to ride his bike and not just something really easy. He was trying to do some tricks and in an unsanctioned space and tragedy ensued. And so that was part of the impetus that got the idea for the club. It so happened at the same time I had been writing to my ward councillor at the time because I saw what was happening in the garden park there, and I saw the plans that they'd made, and it looked like we were going to be excluded, to say the least. There was talk of chain link fences going up and cordoning off areas, and I mean, if you go and check the plans that they have up there, it's still an ongoing plan. So it was pretty controversial about what they were trying to do in there and block off areas to stop people from going in, and they were going to charge admission and things like that. That was part of the scheme anyway, and I didn't think that was right. So I was writing letters and was getting some support. And but yeah, that's how we kind of got started, because if you don't form a group and get some support, it's pretty hard to get heard by the city. And I know there's a lot of people that like to mountain bike, and it's a great opportunity. It's right there. It's so close to so many people, and it's exercise. There's a lot of health issues with people, and and it's free. You can go there and ride your bike like I did when I was a kid, and so that's how this mountain bike association got started, and we're just hoping to attract more people and get some more support, and so we'll have more opportunities, and we want to expand. The challenge park was a great idea, but one of the things that was missing, oddly enough, was challenge. There wasn't, it was kind of, it was a bit too easy, and I think this time if we can make some interesting trails and some challenging trails. But we got to get support and we got to do it right. So then we can do those things like you were talking about, scheduling. Oh, we're going to have a trail building day, or who knows? We can get to the point where we'll have skill development day, and ladies only ride and guys only ride, beginners ride, expert ride, free ride, cross country. Hopefully, I mean, this is down the road, but yeah, if we get enough support, we can do all those things. So that's kind of how it started with the challenge part.
Yeah, and I've also noticed, like, in the past year or whatnot, some of the locals, I'm not going to say their name in case they could get in trouble for any reason, but I've noticed they've been building some things off to the side of Challenge Park, like some, like pump track areas, and it's really cool what they're doing. And it'd be nice to have like the city's support on the back of it to really, because that area, as you were saying, there's not much green in Mississauga, but that one little section and where the trails are throughout Riverwood and up top on, I guess, on top of the mountain per se. Um, it's a really great place for riding, especially like being right in the city. Like Square One's a 2-minute walk from there, so it's really nice. It'd be nice to have, well, maybe like a 2-minute drive. It's just down the street, so it's pretty close. But it'd be nice to have like a nice, challenging park to ride that's super close.
Yeah, for sure.
As Greg mentioned, he kind of hit the nail on the head there. We have an opportunity now to really make some interesting trails, basically, and some interesting obstacles and actual challenges for people of all skill levels, right? So that little plot of land, it's not much, but there's things that we can do and things that have been built before. They're there now. So again, it all comes down to the city being able to allow us to do what we feel like we can do and do it well. And you've mentioned Riverwood and stuff like that. Riverwood is a spectacular area for mountain biking. There's a lot of areas just within that little plot of land along the ravine, Chapel Creek, where there's some great downhill runs that can be made, some flowy trails, even some jumps. But Riverwood in and of itself is a bit of a challenge too. So going back to that whole bureaucratic process, we're not only dealing with the city as a stakeholder when it comes to gaining authority, but we're also dealing with people that manage the land, and that comes down to conservation authorities. And so when it comes to conservation authorities, they have a large influence over what actually occurs on that land, even though they might not own it. And Riverwood is a prime example. So again, it's just kind of trying to gain support, which is what Greg was alluding to. We need support and we need backing. Otherwise, voices won't be heard, and so that's kind of what, again, the purpose of our association is to try and kind of gather everyone's voice and project it towards the city.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's so much potential for that area. So it'd just be very, very nice to be able to expand on it from what's already there. And I feel like it'd bring the locals and the mountain bikers more together as a group instead of like, because if you go there, not too many people know each other, no one's familiar. So it'd be nice to have, an area where everyone's familiar. Like if you go down to Turkey Point, there'll be hundreds of riders riding Turkey Point and they all know each other. They're all locals. They always see each other there. So it'd be nice to have a system like that set up in Mississauga and then having the cities support on it as well, instead of like, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, there's opportunities for businesses. Like that's the thing that the city's looking for revenue streams all the time, and people biking, they spend money. They go to a patio after, and they have something to eat. They go for drinks, and like if there's the social aspect to it. They gather. That encourages all of that. The local bike shops. People go shopping and they ride their bikes there. I think it's a really positive thing. That's another thing we got to try and sort of educate the city on, and that it's not just because they just see a liability and
Yeah.
there's like there's a lot of really positive things that can come out of it, and can really help some of the local businesses, and yeah, maybe some more can open up, and yeah.
Exactly. And there's so much space there that it'd be super easy, especially down in Arundel Park, where all those gravel trails that lead up into like Riverwood area. You could host mountain biking cross country events there, um, bike events there. You could have local bike shops come in, set up tents, spend the day there, just to advertise all the local businesses in the area. Be very nice.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'd really like to see, personally, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think a pump track, like a properly built, like a really well made, somebody who knows what they're doing, not
Yeah,
just a pretend one, but like up top underneath the hydro lines, that area there. I think it's just perfect for it. Like
exactly. It's all flat
build a
already, so they don't have to
really,
level it all out.
really nice. I think
So you
that would be.
mentioned a having a pump track. What are some other features or trails? Have you guys thought about what you'd like to put in Challenge Park or what could make it more challenging, etc.?
Think that's we haven't gotten that far. We know now that we got to get the permission and the buy-in, but there's you know there's a variety of people already in the club, and there's cross country riders, and then there's free riders and people who want to see jumps and challenging stuff, and we can. I mean, there's already some butt clenching downhills in the Arundel Park there, and there's some potential for some good stuff. So I mean, I would sure I like the challenging stuff. So yeah, I want to see a variety of things there, and it's going to be a bit of a tough sell because again, the city sees liability, and but I know you know compared to like baseball diamonds, they have way more injuries, in a sports like that. Um, I know they had a lot of concerns about the skateboard parks, the one up uh, North Mississauga there, but I guess it's been a big success. There hasn't been nearly the amount of injuries and problems that they thought. So yeah, I think we want to have a good variety, right, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. Just to kind of echo what Greg was saying, there definitely needs to be a variety of different features and styles of riding involved, because we don't want to tunnel our vision towards one specific type of riding style or
Mhm.
even one skill level. And so part of it too is introducing the sport to younger people, kids and teens and that type of thing, but then not excluding older people that also like to ride and have been riding for 20, 30, 40 years. So it's hard to visualize specific trail features that we could implement at the challenge park. It's more so, again, what Greg was mentioning, trying to first gain that authority. We don't want to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. And so once we do gain that authority, then we can really start to think about how we would assess the trails from a sustainable standpoint, so that erosion is minimized as much as possible, so that we're not affecting the local ecosystem. There's various things that we would need to undertake first, really, as part of the design process when it comes to implementing different features. But there's already a rock garden that's at the challenge park. Greg mentioned a pump track, and I completely agree that a pump track would fit perfectly at the challenge park. And so there's lots of different things that we can add, jumps here and there, drops, gap jumps if we really wanted to, different things like that. So there's a whole there's a whole book of features that we could extract from and utilize at some point, but it's hard to tell which ones we would put where at this stage.
And it's great to have an association like yours because you can take like you can't just go and throw features in there because you want to hear the feedback from the local and the public of what they want there. So you really get everyone's
Exactly.
voices there. And then you also have a huge group to support you guys against bringing your thoughts and what you want to do to the city as well. And the city can say, oh, well, look, all these people are in for it. Why not give it a shot? And, you know, I mean, they got like local skate parks and stuff. And I mean, lots of people just riding their scooter down the road and hitting a bad bump on the sidewalk or something go through pretty bad injuries from what I've seen, you know, big long scrapes down the arm, broken arms and whatnot. So, I mean, I don't see why they have such an issue with the injury standpoint, because at the end of the day, you can be injured almost anywhere.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. You could be sitting down and injure yourself quite literally. So mountain biking in and of itself as a source of injury or damage, that occurs all the time with different sports, different activities, doing anything. And so for it to be viewed as a major liability, well, everything really technically is a liability. So that's part of the challenge with trying to gain some type of legitimacy, and to be viewed in more of a positive light as mountain bikers, right? And so I think from the negative connotations that do exist with mountain biking, part of it is just miseducation or being uninformed. Part of the process with what we've had to do as a group is to actually go to the city and provide presentations, proposal presentations, and we've created a media kit. And part of that is to just inform and educate other stakeholders. So, you know, when we went in for one of our meetings and presentations, they really didn't know what mountain biking was. So we had to break it down in terms of, you know, the different elements of what mountain biking really is, what single track is compared to, you know, a double track or an MUT, a multi-use trail. And so again, it's kind of educating, informing to try and debunk all of the myths that do surround the sport of mountain biking.
Exactly. And I've noticed, like, when you tell people, oh, you're a mountain biker, they're like, oh, you ride down like the sides of crazy mountains. It's like, no, there's like whole different variants of mountain biking. I think that's really what people need to understand is like, you say, oh, mountain biking, they think you're doing Red Bull Rampage or something. You're sending double backflips off of 30-foot gaps or whatnot. But they got to know that, like, mountain biking, it's a cool sport because there's something there for every skill level. If you're not too ready for the dirt trails with the little jumps or whatnot, there's gravel trails. If you don't want to go on the gravel trail, there's like sidewalks. Or if the gravel trails are too easy, you can find a dirt trail. When those start getting easy, you can add in jumps, drops, routes, all that kind of stuff. Elevation, all that.
That's true.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find a huge amount of variance within the sport. Different skill levels, different ages, different riding styles. It's about catering to everyone, not just kind of, like I mentioned, one single subset. And that subset, you know, obviously they like to go do crazy jumps. You know, you talk about Rampage and people out in Whistler doing, you know, A-line and stuff like that. That's one specific subset of you know, downhillers, right? So it's not just the downhill mountain bikers that do the crazy stuff. There's a whole slew and a mix of different riding styles. And so again, just educating people and letting them know that that's not, you know, the true face of mountain biking. It's everything in between as well. And again, that's been part of our challenge is to, when we're approaching the city and different stakeholders, it's again just telling them that's not what it is. This is who we are. We have jobs, we have families, we go to school, that type of thing. We're normal people, right? We're not these, you know, adrenaline junkies. Some of us might be, but you know, we have lives outside of what we do as well in terms of mountain biking. So it's just trying to put a friendly face to the mountain biking community.
Yeah, I certainly think what you guys are doing, you guys are making really good steps towards improving the mountain bike and how people that are not mountain bikers see us. I really like what I'm hearing, and I wanted to just ask, and this goes to both of you, whoever wants to go first, but how did you start mountain biking? How did you get into this sport?
Greg, I might let you take the lead on that one first.
It was a long time ago. I'm a little older, as you can tell, and I um, I was a Whistler ski bum many years ago, and I finished college and wasn't sure what to do, so I went out west, lived in Whistler, and skied all winter. And my friends out there were like, "Man, you got to get a mountain bike. It's so much fun." And I tried it a little bit, but I was like, oh, I don't know, going over the handlebars, landing on rocks seems a little rough to me. But I came back. I moved back here for work opportunities, and I just needed that adrenaline again, and something to do in the summer. And a friend of mine had a bike, and we each had dogs at the time, and we were like, let's take the dogs for some mountain bike rides, and we just started exploring, and I just loved it. And it's a sport that uh, you know going to the gym is fine, if and you can get into that and you can get addicted, but I don't know, going out in the woods,
Mhm.
and you want to get up that hill, it's not like you're like, okay, I got to do 20 more reps, and then I got to push my, it's like I want to get up that hill, and you get up and it feels great, and it's fun, it's exercise and it's fun. And so it's just gone from there. And it's a good family sport. I take my daughters out, and traveling, I've traveled all over with my bike, and it's really easy to travel with your bike. I would encourage anyone. You just get a bike box from the local bike shop, and there's just some minor things you do to take your bike partially apart, stuff it in the box, throw it on the plane. You can go anywhere. In a few minutes, you can assemble it again, and it's a great way to travel. And so yeah, now I've got a bunch of friends, and we all go regularly, and it's one of my favorite things to do, and gets me out and traveling, and yeah, love it.
So
Chris, what about you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so no, that's okay. Yeah, so I started mountain biking maybe I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And funny story, actually, our CFO that's on the board, he actually introduced it to me back when we were in university. So he lived in London at the time, and he was introduced to mountain biking, and he fell in love with it. He came back to Mississauga after that. We connected, and he said, "Hey, do you want to go for a bike ride?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" At the time, I had a like a $300 super cycle from Canadian Tire, and his bike was definitely a lot better than my own. And so I got started on a pretty tough bike to kind of learn how to mountain bike. But I rode that thing for many years out in Riverwood and doing downhills and stuff like that. And my skills kind of got better and better, and it came to the point where my brakes were shot, and my suspension was locked up, and it was just unsafe. And so then I finally upgraded to a Scott Scale 50, an older 2012 model, just hardtail, and that completely opened my eyes. Like, it completely opened my opportunity to advance my skill level. And then I loved it when I was on my super cycle, but then I really took to the sport once I upgraded my bike. And I started off in Mississauga, just riding the local trails, Riverwood, Arundel Park, the Challenge Park. Even there's a little sugar bush by my house that I ride once in a while and do time trials around. So that's kind of how I got started, and just haven't looked back ever since.
That's cool. I love those stories. Yeah, it just shows everyone, like, you just got a bike, no matter what it is, you can go out there and have fun.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Exactly. So, now I forget. 1 second. Alex, you got a question? Because I'm trying to remember mine now.
I got one. What do you think is the best way that mountain bikers, no matter what city they live in, What is the best way that they can support their local trails?
That's a good question. The best way to support their trails is to, one, do some research in terms of what organizations do exist locally in your municipality or your region that contribute to any type of trail maintenance or trail advocacy. That's number one. If you don't really find anything, then the next port of call would be to actually go to the city themselves or to the region itself to try and identify what groups and organizations do exist that could help out. That might be a bit more tough to approach those stakeholders when it comes to trail maintenance and supporting the local trails. It would really be the associations that already exist in your region that would really advocate for your voice. I know a good resource to look into is IMBA, the International Mountain Bicycling Association. And so that's kind of how I actually got in touch with some of the guys on the board, was through AJ Strawson from IMBA. He's the executive director of the Canadian division, and he gotten me in touch with a few guys from the board, and that's how we kind of became established. And so that was just me doing my due diligence to look for avenues where I can contribute to trails, and that's literally how I got started over a year ago. And if I can encourage those that are listening or that will view this later on, definitely seek out those opportunities. If you're into the sport of mountain biking and you love it and you're passionate about it and you want to see the sport grow and develop and see the community expand and get larger, you need to voice your opinions, and you need to seek out these organizations and really support them, because without the support, then it won't work. It won't take fruition and nothing will happen. So that's kind of my advice, is to really seek out those organizations, those associations that really promote the opportunities that we love as mountain bikers.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I would say, if there isn't a local association, start one. Even if it's just you and 4 or 5 buddies. Like when I first went to the city, I'd written to my ward councillor, and I wrote to the mayor, and I got some responses, and I went and I met with some ward councillors, and they were like, okay, so like, who's your group? Like, and I was like, well, there's no group. I'm just, a concerned citizen. And they were like, oh, they were like, it's not that they didn't care what I thought. I mean, they were interested in what I had to say in that, but they were like, you know what? Form a group, and even if it's informal, it shows it's different. They're not built to deal with like an individual or something that's not some sort of association. They're geared towards, dealing with a group, and it gives you more clout, and you share resources, and it's a little more fun. And so, yeah, I would say joining an association, and even make one, even for your little patch of woods, wherever it is, you can start a little, a small one just for that area. And you can go in there and you tell the local ward councillor, or hey, we're doing a garbage pickup, our little group, and go in there one day and a couple bags and some work gloves, and pick up the garbage, and you can build some credibility that way, and before you know it, you can you can start working on the trails. So form a group.
Yeah.
Don't worry about how official it is, or just get started. And someone like Chris will come along and pick the ball up and run with it.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. Yeah, so just at the end of what Greg said there, we are more of a grassroots organization, and that's how we got started. It was just it was myself. Yep, it was just myself and a few guys that had an idea. We came together and we started something really, really small, just a few of us. And over time, it slowly gained traction. And so if you have an idea, just go and do it, because you never know what's going to happen. A year ago today, I didn't think I would be in this position where, I'd be helping to manage and organize, a potential successful mountain biking association for Mississauga. So on top of that, the support aspect, one of the other things that we did as a group was we actually created like a template letter to send to all of our individual ward councillors. So that's another thing too when it comes to the policies that are implemented at the governmental level where decisions are made. If the government, the municipality, the ward councillors see that there's a demand from the general public, the citizens, they have no choice but to listen. They were appointed by the citizens of Mississauga, and so they need to listen to them. And so we encouraged a lot of our members, all of our members, to send these letters out of support. And so that's another way to kind of get the city to listen to you, is to send these letters to their ward councillors, which is again what Greg mentioned before as well. The other aspect of support is financial support, actually. And so most of these organizations, they're not for profit, incorporated entities. And so there's no income coming our way at all. We're doing this as a hobby, really, because again, we have the passion to do it. And so we'll see it through, but at the same time, it doesn't run itself, right? And so donations from our membership is really important for us to flourish. Right now, there's no membership fees that we have for our members. It's all free, right? But any donations that come our way, they help monumentously in terms of where they can be distributed in order to help us grow and succeed. So financial donations are always encouraged as well. If people can spare that, that will always be helpful for us as well to flourish and grow.
So for those who choose to donate, where will their money be going towards?
Yeah, great question. So donations will typically be approved by the general membership to begin with. So any donations that come our way, they need to be distributed accordingly by our membership. So the membership will vote basically on where the funds will go to. It can go from anywhere between, managing our web pages and social media accounts, to purchasing insurance for our members, membership status for IMBA and other associations that we could be a part of, training clinics. It could also go towards equipment, as simple as shovels and that type of thing, right? Spades and shovels to get the work done. And so that's typically where all the donations would go towards, is just literally running the actual association.
So for the equipment, like shovels and spades and whatnot, do you guys have a place where you keep that, or is it just kind of like?
Yep. So right now it's anyone's backyard shed or garage. That's all we have right now, right? And so we have some guys that have some equipment, some electrical equipment. Otherwise, we'll rent a brush cutter for the day, and we'll go out and we'll cut some thick brush to clear a path or something like that. So we don't have any large pieces of power equipment or tools to do the job, partly because they're expensive and we don't have the funds to do that, and also partly because we don't have the authority yet to do that. So everything kind of comes in order, obviously, but that's where those funds will ultimately end up supporting. So tools, like I mentioned, insurance, membership dues and fees and things like that. But anywhere that we could store them, really, someone's garage or someone's backyard shed, that's where they're all staying at this stage.
Yeah, and it'd be nice that once you get the approval and whatnot, to have like a little shed or something on site, so that when certain I could say like members in charge, for example, yourself or Greg, could have a key to it, and you could say, okay guys, this day we're going to go and maintain this part of the trail, come up for this time, unlock the shed, hand out equipment, everyone can take part in it. And that way people don't have to worry about bringing their own stuff because the members in the group there that are helping out have the equipment already. Because I've noticed that's a huge thing when like people are trying to maintain the trails. They're like, well, I bike to the trails. I can't be carrying 3 shovels and whatnot on my bike, driving 20, 30 minutes on my bike riding there. So it'd be nice to have something there that you can use.
Yep, totally. It would be nice to have something set up permanently at like on site that will store equipment and, you know, especially the larger power tools. Things like excavators and those types of equipment, obviously we wouldn't keep on site, but you know, some of the smaller power tools.
Weed eaters, lawnmowers, maybe for the tighter spots.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, this sounds really cool what you guys are doing, and make sure to keep in touch with us. Whenever you guys start doing work on Challenge
Sure,
Park, we would be
yeah,
very
definitely.
happy to document it.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we'll keep in touch for sure, and we'll keep you posted. Right now, what we're doing is we will be shortly approved as a community stewardship group from the city of Mississauga. Sorry, and right now we're just in discussions with Parks and Forestry as well to determine the capacity of our role and responsibility as that type of group. In relation to the goals that we want to achieve in terms of building trails, assessing existing trails, making them sustainable, and that type of thing. So there are things happening as we speak. Our next annual general meeting will be held on Friday, April 16th at 7 p.m. for those that are interested. We're hoping to have some good news by that stage, but in order to be invited to the AGM for the MMBA, you do need to register for free as a member, and then you'll get an invite to join that AGM. So again, I encourage those listening and those that will watch later to register. It's free, and you can, you know, keep up with us, support us.
So where do these people register? Is there like a link or?
There is, yeah. So if people visit our dedicated website, it's MississaugaMBA.ca. We're undergoing a little bit of maintenance right now, but it'll be back up and running shortly. So they go to that website. There's an option to go to register as a member for free. Just follow the steps. And also members do get 15% off at the cycle path at Credit View and Burnham Thorpe. So 15% off all parts, accessories, clothing, that type of thing. It excludes bikes and labor, but they do get 15% off as a member. So you could find that little coupon member code in the members portal of our website. So again, it's MississaugaMBA.ca.
Okay, perfect. So for anyone that's local and interested, that link will be in the description below. So just go click on that. We'll title it whatnot. So just go there. And if you're interested, it'd be great for you to join. You know, it's always great to have more people a part of the association. And benefits, you guys save yourself 15% at a local bike shop. So you're supporting local businesses and local trails.
Yeah, very cool. Sebastian, do you have any other questions?
No.
Kind of feeling like
Any other?
we're reaching the end here.
Yep.
Unless any Greg or Chris, if you guys have anything else you'd like to add on, mention.
Sure, yeah. So what type of trails do you guys ride? You ride locally in Mississauga as well, or you guys venture out
Yeah,
anywhere exciting?
I'm
We go.
actually lucky enough to live super close to Riverwood. It's very close to me. So I've been going there since I was a kid and been biking there for the last couple years. And yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of potential in that place for sure. Especially because of the valley. There's some pretty steep downhill areas there that you can definitely put challenging runs down there. But then also easier ones too, because not everyone they do look quite intimidating to those who aren't as experienced or are new to the sport, especially. So yes, both Sebastian and I have ridden at Riverwood and Challenge Park many, many times.
Very nice.
And then we like to go, out when, we get a clear schedule for a weekend or even a weekday now that, school's a little modified and whatnot. We'll head out to somewhere far, Hydro Cut, Kelso for the
So-
day, Horseshoe, all that. So we're all over the place. Planning a
Awesome.
nice mountain biking trip maybe this summer, somewhere nice.
Great.
For video purposes, we're going to keep that a secret now.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah.
All I know is that we won't be going to Blue Mountain.
Yep.
Oh, that's unfortunate news that, yeah, you guys kind of spoke about briefly in the beginning. It's kind of
Mhm.
unfortunate that they're just completely cutting that out for everyone. And I know a lot of people are pretty disappointed. They've paid into it, and they've been going there for years, and their runs are great. It's just it's unfortunate they've come to this decision. So we'll see what happens.
Mhm. What kind of riding do you guys do?
Greg, do you want to elaborate? Oh, his audio might be cut off. Personally,
Sorry,
me,
say it again.
oh, there you are. Are you there?
Say it again. My audio's, I can barely hear you guys for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
What kind of riding do you enjoy? Cross country, enduro, all that.
I like the technical bashing, see what you can ride over type stuff. I like cross country too, I sold my hardtail though, but I want to get another cross country bike. I enjoy that sort of fast and flowy stuff, but I really like seeing what can be ridden over, and I like riding. I got up to Copeland Forest. I don't know if you guys have been up there. That place is awesome. It was my first time up there this year, but up around Blue Mountain as well, and Waterdown Falls. There's
All over the place.
there's a lot of good places that people don't know about. Over in Guelph, there's some really good riding over there. But I love my Erindale Park. It's great. I live right on the other side of Dundas, so when I've got, geez, it's like, oh, I've only got an hour and a half, 2 hours. Pull the bike out of the shed, throw the shorts on, and go.
yeah.
It's a real gem that we've got here. So hopefully we can keep
Expand
it
on
going.
it.
Yeah. Well,
And how
I
about,
think, sorry,
Chris?
Sebastian,
What
you
kind
can
of
go.
Personally, I'm more of it's kind of what Greg was mentioning, cross country, more of the super fast and flowy trails. I'm definitely more of like a speed, like the speed. I love the speed, so I like going fast and flowy and throwing a couple of jumps and drops here and there, and that's kind of my style of riding. I like the adrenaline aspect of it. That's kind of just that's me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of good topics today. Really enjoyed having you guys on. I'm glad that you guys were able to talk about your association. It's really cool what you guys are doing. I'm really excited to see over the future. It seems like it's going to be a long road, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end if we can bring better trails to Mississauga. So once again, the link to Mississauga MMBA or the MMBA, that will be in our description. So if you live in the Mississauga area and you're watching this, go sign up. Like they said, it's free, costs you nothing. Go give them some support so we can get some better trails out here. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Chris and Greg. We really enjoyed having you on today. We hope you guys
Pleasure,
enjoyed.
guys. Thanks for having us. Yeah, get out and ride your bikes and say
Hmm.
hi if you see me on the trail, and we'll be building trails in there pretty soon, I think. Hey, Chris?
I think so. Yeah.
Improving the
Thanks
trails,
again, guys.
improving.
Yeah.
No problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for coming out and joining us.
Thanks.
All right.
So if you want to see these recordings live, make sure to join our Discord using the link in the description. Follow us on Instagram at Everyday Biking. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. Though we're still not YouTube seems to be a little bit messy and we're not sure where these subscribers are coming from. So they might reset down back to below 1,000 after this video comes out, but we'll take it for now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.